All right. You have now entered the fun zone. And we have to keep up engagement. If there's any silence, if we don't say skibbity every 2 seconds, we're going to get these. So please, bring your hands together for the show. It's going to be a good one, and you're going to tell everyone that you know about it. It's the DweeBros Podcast.
Whoever thought it was a great idea to give you access to a soundboard really needs to rethink our production notes.
That is the production right now, because we are virtual, because I am Daddy DweeBro. Thank you for joining us.
How's that going, Zach?
Better.
Well, like, in terms of, like, what? Give me some insight.
You have to, like, get up with the kids and feed them. Like, when you have such a small adult. Not an adult, small human. I didn't think this through. I didn't know. In everything in my life, I don't think through anything. I just I know that I'm gonna, figure it out. And boy, am I figuring it out. But we've got a lot of help. It's not terrible, but like those first couple weeks were like getting used to not having 8 hours ever again. And now I am. Now I can get like 6, and I'm like, cool. Now long term, I'll die quicker because of that. If I don't get back to 8, but because you're supposed to have 8. If you don't have 8, goodbye. But yeah, that's been better.
Maybe in 18 to 20 years that will happen.
Yeah. My wife thinks it's really funny. I did have you know what? Here's my story for this podcast. And my wife loved this. I did not. I had a Kingdom Hearts shirt on. Shouts out Mickey. And my son decided to take a dump all over this Kingdom Hearts shirt. He destroyed Donald. Donald was a freaking 0 HP. It was some alerts were going off. 0 HP. So yeah, I was freaking out about that, and Chelsea just was loving it. I was like, my Kingdom Hearts shirt. I was just running around. My Kingdom Hearts shirt. My Kingdom Hearts shirt has been pooped on.
Oh, that is awesome.
So I immediately had to like rip off my shirt and wash it. So
there's a new main character in your party.
Yeah, Ansem, freaking Ansem, took a dump on me. So no, he's fine, but I get used to all that. It's hard when like I'm doing something and like he's hungry. You have to stop everything, and then like you get 2 hours again. Like you have to work in like 1.5 to 2 hour intervals on everything.
That's actually
which is a change. It's a change.
Get used to it.
But that's Daddy DweeBro. What about you guys?
Man, I haven't done anything that's like absolutely jaw-dropping. Went to West Virginia, went rafting this month, which that's like my 10th trip. You guys have been. Cool. You guys.
Yeah, we went that one time and we loved it.
It's
awesome.
seriously something that like I go for periods of stretches of times. I'm like, oh, I need to do this again, and I go and do it again, and I'm like, why do I ever stop doing this? Like, why do I ever allow myself not to go back? It was such a joy.
Zach, I'll never forget being on the rafting bus, and the guy is like, and there are razor sharp rocks below the surface that can gut you. There are snakes. There's this. And I just look over because I know you're a nervous kind of thrill seeker type person. You're not into that. And the look on your face, and you looked at me, your eyes were just glazed over. Like, what have I gotten into?
I just said with this kid, I like to go. I go in blind if I know like things are going to frick me up. I like to go in blind. And that trip, I remember I did tell one person, I was like, yeah, we're going whitewater rafting. And they went, like that. And I was like, in my head, I went, nah, it's canoeing. We're just going down the river and we're canoeing. No. And when we were in that bus, it felt like we'd sign up for the Army. Because, yeah, when he says, like, there's sharp rocks that can hit you and you're wearing a helmet more for, like, what did they say? Like, it's not really going to help you. Like, it's to keep your head.
They said it'll be so we can find you. Like, it's really not going. They're like, it's really not going to protect you, but we can use it to help. It'll help us find you.
Yes, and then they said there's snakes under the water. Like, also be wary. There are snakes under the water when you're like in there. And yeah, you turned around and I gave you that look, but then it became funny. It went all the way around. It started downpouring before we got to that, if you remember, to that bank. Yeah. And we were all carrying it like we were all in the Army. And I just started laughing. I was like, this is just a terrible, like, what did I sign up for? Like,
No, to me it's the best trip you can ever go on, especially with a
It
group
was
of
really fun.
friends or anything
You
like
just
that.
can't have stupid people or you will flip. Like we were all like serious and we didn't flip.
Hey, I will tell you, 2 boats flipped in front of me. One flipped actually near the meat grinder. I don't know if you guys remember the meat grinder.
Yeah.
They flipped near it, and it's one of those things where you watch it happen, you're like, they're gonna die, and then we're in the middle of our rapid watching it happen, and our guide's screaming, "Paddle!" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna die with them. We don't paddle." But then they ended up getting everyone got up and everyone helped out saving people. But it's a great time. Again, I love rafting.
Yeah, that was a blast. That was a good trip.
What's your favorite? Why have they never done like a rafting video game? That could be interesting.
Probably
the Connect have something? Connect had like a rafting.
They
thing.
did. I remember those kids like, whoa.
You move like that back and forth, yeah.
Yeah. And then he turns to his dad's like, Daddy, that was fun. Like,
oh my god,
the most staged demo ever.
I wonder why the Kinect is no longer a viable option.
Well, if we're talking Connect, if we're talking Microsoft's like successes, can we talk about this month? Man, they've been on a grind of I have never seen and felt. Sometimes you can feel like waves in the industry of this thing, but the last time I felt this way was in 2008 with that Connect thing with Microsoft.
Yeah.
That was like the Winter Gear sales, like Xbox One premiere was another one, like them showing that off, like, hey, it's always going to be online. But this was just hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. Travis kind of manages our notes for the podcast, and it was funny. I saw, like, I could see on my email, it's like, hey, updated stuff. Oh, Microsoft announced they're doing layoffs. Microsoft announced this. Then I checked in, it just updated, and it says Xbox shit its pants. So that was he just stopped, I think, trying to keep up with it. It just was like, it just felt like a wave of that.
It feels like the last month has just been like a star beginning its death stages. Like it's dying. Like it's going supernova in a bad way. And it started with closing. It's so weird. So they have had a couple Game Pass games that are successful. Hi-Fi Rush was one of them. And they prop it up all the time, and they say, like, even Matt Booty was giving a speech recently and was like, we need more games like this. And then, like, immediately after some of these comments and a lot of the support, they closed the studio, Tango Gameworks, that makes that game. They also closed Arcane Austin, who made Prey and Redfall more recently, and then some other studios. But it's just like, none of their studios are really, like, the Initiative, none of these studios release anything. Tango Gameworks actually has shown they're able to release things, and they close them. And it's like, what are we doing at this point?
Yeah,
it's
it
so
showed
strange.
Between Spider-Man, which it had a big budget, but like between that, actually it did sell well, you know what I mean? And between this doing well, it does show on the not only Xbox side of it, it's like people were saying it doesn't matter if you make an amazing game. You're like on the chopping block, you know what I mean? Like in this current industry. But to the Microsoft, what the frick are you doing kind of thing? Yeah, there's just so much where it's like all these announcements are not good things. Like, there hasn't been anything where I'm excited. It's more about like, okay, these layoffs suck. Okay, you're bringing all these games to PlayStation. It's like, it's a terrible time to be an Xbox person right now. I don't know. They just haven't announced anything that's like fun. You know what I mean? Like, cool.
Nothing. And well,
nothing's cool.
The other things that have happened, I was trying to look here. So, they announced those other games are going over. They talked about what we just talked about with the closing of the studios. Then they said that they're going to raise the price of Game Pass.
Yeah, I saw
again.
That's why I couldn't keep up.
It's already $18 a month. So, like, on the heels of all of this bad news.
Yeah.
And then they were talking about Call of Duty. Call of Duty is coming out later this year, the new Call of Duty, and it is going to be multi-platform, but it's also going to be on Game Pass, but it's going to be on a new Game Pass tier is the rumor, like some $30 tier where you get their big games, which is just insane because at that point, just buy the game, $30 a month. And we'll see what that ends up being. That's still to be announced. Then it came out, it leaked. They're getting ready to do a big Xbox games blowout. It sounds like in the next month or so. I think that there's a date. Zach, I think you messaged about it, and we'll watch. I don't remember what date that was. Regardless, like there have been a couple things leaked as part of that, like a new Doom game. Doom: The Dark Ages is kind of one of the rumored things, but it is confirmed it's coming to PlayStation. So they're finally getting like some games, and they're gonna put them out, and
that's so funny. We've waited so long, and now it's like already like you waited so long. We're in this stage of
yeah. And I think the fundamental like thing that bothers me the most is they just seem directionless. They seem like from like the head of Microsoft on down with Phil Spencer, they don't know what they're trying to do with that brand, and it's a sad state of affairs. It's really sad to see. I went ahead and just deactivated my Game Pass because I'm not using it, and you know, if I'm going to use it, I'll just sign up for a month and use it, Zach, like you do, and it's just getting to a point. It's like another price increase, and you're going to close Tango, which is like probably one of my favorite studios that they have. It's just, you know, it's just sad.
Yeah, I've seen a ton of people that were like, I guess I'm just canceling my Game Pass. Like they have cratered. Like you said, like here's the Game Pass increasing in price. Here's this, we're closing. It's like you have announced all not fun things.
Yeah.
Back to back. And that's what I'm saying, like that feeling of like you're just sucking the soul out of me. Like I'm not dealing with all this.
Well, and then to like as you know, exclamation point to all this, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice finally came out, and I didn't play it, but it generally seems like the response is this is fine, but visually it's incredible. But like as a game,
that's how I felt about the first one. I played like 2 hours of the first one. I felt the same way. I felt like I was just walking a lot, and I just had a lot of pretty graphics. And then I saw somebody say like, you walk a lot. You just walk a lot, and it's really, really pretty. And I'm like, okay,
it's kind of a third-person walking simulator in a lot of ways, with some combat, some like press. Somebody said that the combat reminded them of the fencing sword fight at the end of Uncharted 4.
Oh, okay. Which the whole game is like that. Okay.
Which was not what I would be looking for. I can tell you that. I don't know. I didn't play Hellblade, but that's their big release of the year, and it was positive. Like it was like an 80 on Metacritic, but like it's a 5-hour game. Like that is their big.
That's their big
release. Now Sony doesn't really even have a big game this year other than Rebirth, so that's a whole other topic. But
Stellar Blade and the controversy with Stellar Blade. I don't think we had it on the news, but
I don't think
that came out too.
Why don't you tell us what all was going on with that? I think we've said our piece on Xbox.
Stellar Blade came out. Oh, we talked about it last time. I said it was a fun time.
Oh, I played the demo. I played the demo since then.
Oh, you did?
I loved it. I absolutely loved the demo. So yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it played great. I thought it was fun.
Yeah. But there was a controversy. I think, and I actually didn't look too much into this because I'm trying to take care of a kid, and I can't like, what's going on with the game with the scantily clad woman? I need to like, I don't like have that on my. I got other tiers of things that take precedence right now. But I did see kind of loosely they were saying like that was kind of the developer's decision. Like people were saying it's Sony, and then some people were saying this is kind of the developer's decision. But then there was a boycott, and you can look up. There's people that did video messages boycotting this game because I love how this updated. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear.
Okay, my camera's kind of freaking up. So they had they did a boycott, but whatever site they used, you could like film yourself saying like. And Mega64, who we all love, did like a video kind of lampooning all this going on, which is really funny. But they were like, hey, Sony, you have to listen to us. You cannot do this. And I get, like, you don't want stuff to censor. I get that side of it, but what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like, they covered up a part of the cleavage on this, like, digital video game model. You got to stop and think what we're doing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well,
but it worked because they added them back. They took the censorship off.
I heard that they added it back, and you could get it through other means, I guess. But
so if you're horny, this is a win for you this month. You almost lost,
but you won.
But you ended up winning. So
yeah. Well, Speaking of Sony and all of the things that they've been up to, they lightly shit the bed. Maybe not as bad as Xbox, but Helldivers 2 is like, and I said earlier they don't have a big game this year. That's their big game. It's different than what we're used to seeing a Sony big game be, but that is their big game this year.
Yeah,
definitely, and it's been a big success. I think it's cooled a little bit. I think it's still got its main community, and there's people playing it. It's been successful, but I think the people that love it are sticking with it, and the general audience has probably moved on to playing other stuff. But it's a successful game, and part of that success was launching on PC, PS4 simultaneously, and part of that is just embracing Steam, and selling the game on Steam, and people who aren't in the PlayStation ecosystem at all just playing on Steam. Well, and this has been a while back now, but they tried to pull one over on everybody, basically, and say, hey, to go forward to play this game, you need to sign up for a PSN account and link it to your Steam account. And if you do not do that, you can't play the game on Steam. And that kind of thing happens. The thing that put this over the top crazy, though, was I don't know how many territories Steam services, let's call it 150, 160 countries, territories. PSN's only available in like 90. So there are 60 territories worth of people on Steam that have bought the game and are playing Helldivers 2, and they can't sign up for PSN. I didn't think it was a big deal
until I saw that, and I went,
they can't sign up.
Like retroactively killed these people's games. So,
and Sony's initial reaction was sorry, because as we've talked about on this podcast before, they're the worst with customer service. They're terrible. Yeah. You cannot get a refund from them. There are horror stories of people on Reddit, Reset Era, that ask for a refund and they're granted it, and then their account is banned by Sony, and they can no longer make purchases over like $20 games. Like, they're very anti-consumer. So their anti-consumer thing hitting up against Steam's ultimate, support the consumer. They let you try games for 3 hours. Yeah. I mean, and just refund it like it's nothing. It seems like the Steam PC user base is won out because they cratered all the positive reviews.
Yeah.
Helldivers went so negative review-wise on Steam, and it just kind of, I'm happy to see at least, review bombing maybe be used for good, because
review bombing works.
Sony needs to, learn a little bit from this kind of stuff, because it sounds like they're going to still enforce this going forward, because Ghost of Tsushima just launched on Steam and it requires it, but at least they required it from the get-go.
Yeah, from the start.
Yeah. But, it was crazy when they did it too, because they try to say with Helldivers, like, yeah, it has to be this way. And we actually have been doing something in the background to kind of like let it go, but we have to do this. And then people are like, that's not true. That doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't have to be this way.
To clarify a little bit on your context, it's 69 countries in the world that PSN is in, not 90. It's 69. So you're telling me it's less than half, like, of the world who now has access to this game, because over 190 independent countries have access to Steam. And you're talking about the whole, like, Africa and whole Egypt. There's parts in Europe that don't have access to this. And people, if you go on Steam, if you're currently watching, you want to get a little more context, go on Steam and you look and see the review bombs. These are people who are not like 1 hour or 2 hour. These are people who have 150, 200 hours, a lot of time in this game, and they're just being told you can't play it anymore.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Bad month for good news.
Yeah.
Bad month for good news. Was there anything positive? Well, we got like a Nintendo Direct coming up soon, I guess.
Yeah, I'm telling you guys, I've said this multiple times before in the past. It seems like Nintendo is just not going to fail us, because they don't do enough to fail us. They only do enough to either be like, it's Nintendo, or it's, that was good.
Yeah.
I just have my opinion.
I thought it, and that was good extra context, Jacob, on the Helldivers thing. I would say for Nintendo, the biggest thing that surprised me is they're doing a Direct, but the Direct says this Direct will only focus on Switch software for 2024, because the Switch 2 comes out next year. And I feel like last year we got a similar disclaimer on their big Direct for the year. I've never seen them.
Did they say like, hey, this is only for Switch and not successor stuff?
Yeah, this is only.
I thought this was the first time they've ever. I think this is the first time they've officially announced, like, confirmed there is a new like successor coming.
I mean, I read a news article. I didn't write it in the notes, but it said that this is only going to focus on 2024 software, and that later this fall we would probably learn more about.
No, I know that. I'm saying I thought this was the first time they like I was seeing that this was the first time they said, "Hey, the Switch successor." Like they mention it by name.
Well, that might be,
but we know for a while that they're working on it. But like
last year, they didn't say the successor part, but people were rumoring like, hey, they might reveal this year, and they were like, we're just focused on Switch. So
yeah,
I think the main thing that's just interesting is they are 2 to 3 years behind where everybody else thought they were going to be in terms of the timing on this, which I think we've talked about. COVID and different things played into that probably. But
we know now, like officially, like, hey, seems like March or something. It seems like something spring of next year or something.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they aim for spring, but I also think Nintendo is kind of waiting because I think they want to release their console at the best point to where it can sell the best, and they also want to milk the Switch for everything it has left in it.
Man, they're squeezing every drop out of it.
Oh, they're going to do it, and because it's still doing successful. I mean, Thousand Year Door just dropped, and it's the best seller in Europe right now. It's doing everything's doing great for the Switch right now. So they're just going to milk it out as long as they can. But I also think it's kind of a business move too. If you release a console right now in the world economy, the way the world is, I don't think you're going to get the results you want.
Yeah,
I think that's why they're waiting until next year to see if we're all still here. How that's going to go. Well, we're all still here. I want a Switch successor, baby.
The cost of living crisis stuff that's going on, I think you're dead on, Jacob. Like they're the kind of business that's smart enough that they will wait so that they have a strong launch. So
absolutely,
maybe we'll finally get those Zelda remaster ports.
Maybe. I mean, we're getting Luigi Mansion. Was it Luigi's Mansions 2? I mean, there's stuff that I think they know. They're like, hey, we can do things to prolong the Switch. Do we want to remaster a ton of games? Probably not. Could they? Oh yeah, totally. They could just throw out an emulation of GameCube if they wanted to on that thing.
Oh my gosh, that'd be awesome.
There's things that they know they could do probably. They're just kind of waiting, I think.
They're doing
this June.
There's some weird stuff they're doing right now. I don't know if you guys saw this. They canceled a bunch of pre-orders for I think it was Best Buy and Walmart canceled a bunch of pre-orders for it was Target and I want to be correct in this. Target and GameStop, I think, canceled a lot of their pre-orders. No, it's Walmart and Target, sorry, for the 1,000 Year Door. And they did it, I think they already did it to Luigi's Mansion as well. But people's orders were just getting canceled across the board. And then Walmart sent out gift cards to say, hey, sorry, this happened. And then somebody asked them, customer rep, or they came out and said it and was like, hey, you have to just get this in stores. So some people were saying that Nintendo's starting to sell only in stores for some of these physical releases. But then other people were like, is this going to be a rare release? Is this going to be a low print run of this game? I don't know. But
there were some pre-order bonuses that gave out the 1,000 Year Old Door. Yeah. But when you bought it, you got a copy of the GameCube manual from the 1,000 Year Old Door.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, I think probably would be a reason why, but I don't
know why they did that. So I was freaking out, but you know where I pre-ordered mine from?
Where?
QVC. On Twitter, one of the Dills accounts I follow, whatever, was like, hey, if you sign up a new account at QVC, you get 25% off or 30% off. So I paid $48 for this new 1,000 Year Door.
Wow, that might be the new back door for some of these day one releases.
That's actually really good.
It's a good way to do it.
That was a thing.
But
news-wise, there was one other thing. Other thing that came up, and it seemed like there was a lot of blowback about it. And Zach,
wasn't there an update?
Yeah, there was an update. So
okay,
basically, Neil Druckmann did from Naughty Dog, director of Last of Us Part 2, Uncharted 4, and he worked on some of the earlier games. He gave an extended interview, I think, with Sony. I think it was internal to Sony, and some kind of summarization blurbs came out, but they weren't direct quotes. But basically, one of the things that was talked about heavily, or is their, hinted at was their new game, that they are working on a new game. It doesn't sound like their next game is in Last of Us. They didn't talk about it in detail, but I got the impression this is new. Yeah. I also didn't get the impression it was Uncharted. Like, I think that they're doing a new IP, but, it's just nice to know, because last we heard was Factions was canceled, and that was it. So that's cool. But the thing that he said was essentially, in a nutshell, hey, we're gonna be using AI. Like, it would be kind of a mistake not to use it. Sounds like they've got some kind of internal teams that are working on how to best use it. He seemed like he gave a pretty nuanced answer, but the headline was like, hey, we're going to push the boundaries and we can only do that with AI. Like, that was the way it got framed from like the press release and from like the Twitter account and stuff. And so, yeah, what Zach's hinting at is there was a lot of blowback this last week about his quote. A lot of people came out like, I think a lot of people don't like Neil Druckmann is what I'm seeing. Like, there were people coming out like, yeah, this is the same guy that originally wanted to make Last of Us where only women got infected. And like, there were people came out with knives. Like, they like, man, there's people that don't like him. I like Neil Druckmann. I don't have anything against him, but, so then he posted and was like, hey, this did not like come through. Like, I said a lot of things and they kind of boiled it down to a talking point or two. And I read it and I agree. And then I saw this right before I saw a George Lucas interview, which seems unconnected. But basically what he said was, they asked him about AI and filmmaking, and he was like, yeah, we're going to use it and it's going to be important. He's like, imagine somebody in 1989 or 1890 saying, man, I don't know about these cars. Let's just use the horses. Like, And I was like, man, like, that's some interesting perspective from somebody who's always been on the cutting edge. And, and I made a game, and it's simple, right? But like, I made a game with some friends. It was for a game jam. And we came up with the concept for the game. We knew what we wanted to do. We knew we wanted 6 to 8 characters on the boat, but we had a certain character thing. We wanted to have a background, and there's only 3 of us working on the game. We have 3 days to work on it. So we kind of asked the chat GPT to give us some ideas for like some backgrounds of some characters. And we liked some of them, and it inspired us to then take them and work with them. And, we use that as a basis for something we did. And like, I think that those kinds of things are absolutely happening and are absolutely going to continue happening. Working with software developers and just talking to software developers who are my friends, I know people are absolutely using these tools to get themselves working code that then they can tweak and adjust. And I mean, this stuff is absolutely happening, but there is still a lot of bearing in the heads of this. People burying their heads in the sand about using AI tools. So it's just
not
interesting.
Something wrong, I don't think, inherently. I think it's something that like there's a difference between like being motivated or being inspired or using it as a brainstorming session. Writer's block is a real thing. Creative block, all those things are real, and sometimes people need soundboards. So instead of having like hey, we're going to send everyone to Japan for 2 weeks to get inspired, they sit in a room and they say, let's just start looking stuff up on the internet, and then you spend a few out. It's using your tools to minimize workflow and maximize productivity. Yeah. And so if I can go to an AI and ask a question and it can get me thinking on the right path, and it saves me 6 hours to 24 days of work I was going to do beforehand, to me, it's a no-brainer. I'm right there with you, Travis.
I think people are most mad about, and just people just have immediately knee-jerk reaction on AI stuff, is because they have, I mean, they're just dealing with the consequences probably in 10 years when we have the big court case about it. We'll see on the news, but they've just taken and collected a bunch of artist stuff.
Yes.
And they have stolen a gajillion gigabytes of all this stuff. And now when you type in all the stuff, they're like imitating these styles of these different artists.
It's so trained on copyrighted work.
So people have just wiped their hands clean and said, if you even mention AI, we are boycotting your thing. You know what I mean? Like, they're just done with it. But then you have the other people that have said, well, we're going to win in the end, so we're just going to keep being evil or just keep collecting all this data and doing all this stuff. So Yeah, it's I mean, we've done in our group chat, I was sending songs. It was making full like 30-second songs, and you could extend it and just. I like to have fun before the world burns. To me, that's what I like to do. Like I like to play with everything AI. I like everything on the cutting edge. I like to play with before we all succumb to the end. But speaking of that, I don't know if you guys had seen. I put in our group chat the Google now the default when you Google search anything at the top they will AI search it.
Yep, I've seen this.
There's just been an explosion in the past 2 months. Like Facebook's the default. It's like, hey, you're going to use AI. Like that's the search thing now. And I'm like, I don't want to talk to Meta.
Yeah.
I'm just searching for my aunt's
I was
name.
trying to
Just
mess
like
with my
page,
Google.
You know what I mean? Like
I was trying to mess with my Google Drive plan today. It's like set to basic plan and like their third or their fourth plan. There's like Drive basic, blah blah blah, like premium, and then there's AI premium. And I think it's an AI assistant in your Drive that you can ask to do things with your files. Which is crazy, but it's kind of interesting. Like, I don't use Google Drive enough to justify it, but
I've talked about before how like software reaches a pinnacle. It reaches like a point where like, oh, this is perfect. Like YouTube, that was back in YouTube 2011. Probably we reached peak YouTube, like everything, the user experience, around there, early 2010s. We got it, and then like you have these busybodies, like no, we have to keep updating stuff. Right now is the worst time I've ever experienced. Because not only do you have busybodies, like we have to pay these people to do something. We just have to change it for the sake of changing it. Now it's like, look, we have AI. Like right now I'm looking at our freaking thing that we use and it's like, hey, start asking AI a question. It's like, I use this for notes. Like I'm just putting, I don't need
Are
this thing.
they trying to have us do AI stuff for notes?
Yeah. And here, like it's right here in the corner on my thing, on my page. But like, everything explode. Like every site I go to, it's like ask our AI to like do stuff. Facebook's like it's like summarizing comments at the top. I don't know if you've seen this, but it's like people are saying like they're really angry about this news story, but they said that also they see this point, like they're summarizing entire like conversations. But back on the Google AI thing, what's been funny, sad, is Google's already been bad like with search recently. Like what you had to do for the longest time, I don't know if you guys do this, is you type your query and then Reddit. So you can like see humans. But then that even got broke because advertisers learned that. They went into these Reddit threads and kind of these bots and stuff and have kind of poisoned all this stuff to where now you have like fake people saying, oh, I use this. This is the best thing.
Yeah, it's all sponsored content.
And I'm like, these are not real humans anymore. Like, where do I like find a person anymore?
It's
or,
been
like,
bad. It's been hard, to use Google.
Yeah. Past couple of years has been terrible. So now it's just Google's already bad, but then they started having these like AI things. Not all of it's been bad. I will give it that. Like, there's been stuff where it's like I've been able to like easily find like tutorial for like some of my video editing stuff.
Yeah, I had the same thing.
That's
I have a sound software that I was having trouble with something, and I wrote in there, hey, that was the first time it popped up. I was like, how do I do this? And it was like Google AI, and it told me, go to file, go to this, and it worked perfect.
Those stuff with bulleted list is pretty copy paste easy, and that's works well. If you ask where's the best place to commit suicide, it will tell you the Golden Gate Bridge, and it will have a paragraph in it, like because it's just grabbing like anything off the internet. It asks like how do I keep the cheese off of my the pan? It was like, oh, use a 1/8 cup of Elmer's glue, and put it in there. So, it is not really checking that stuff and the quality of that search. But where do you go? Do you go to Bing? Are you guys using anything else? Like I've used Google my whole life, so it's like I don't know where to go.
I just kind of sift through a bunch of things. Like to me, if I want to Google something, I know I'm gonna spend the next 5 to 10 minutes trying to develop an answer instead of searching for one single source of an answer.
Yeah,
I still tend to go the Reddit route. If I'm trying to get like real people's thoughts on things, I typically try to go to Reddit. But you're right, it's definitely been somewhat infiltrated, especially for product stuff. Honestly, if I'm trying to decide what kind of product to buy, I figure out what exists, and then I just go to those sites and learn about those things. I find somebody.
YouTube is really good.
Yeah,
like some
good.
tech reviewers and stuff are fine.
I have a plugin installed. I don't know if you guys have ever done this. I have a plugin installed for Google where it helps rip out like the fake advertisements, like or the fake reviews, and so like
Yeah.
if I go to Amazon, it will pull out the fake reviews. That way I can truly
Fake
see what
spot. Is that what it is? Because
it's
I
called
have
fake
that. Yeah.
spot, yeah. So I can see what's really like, because you'll see things that are reviewed and it's like, oh, this has 20,000 reviews, but when you go to fake spot, they're like, yeah, like 12,000 of these are inflated.
Yeah.
Like, these are not real.
The internet is
so I was like,
a mess.
It's
a mess. It is
It's
a
a mess.
It's really,
Yeah.
really bad. And the problem is, I think it's only getting worse. I mean, you're seeing things now pop up where Temu and the TikTok shop and all these things are trying to, they just want to take people's money. It's capitalism. Capitalism has finally reached its head where now anyone or anything wants to take advantage of the consumer.
Yeah.
And they don't care how it's done.
Yeah. I will say, like, I don't hope that I don't come out of, a place of nostalgia for this, or just like, hey, I was a kid then, but like the 2000s were an incredible time. There was, now that goes back to like, why did we lose MySpace and all these, like, you could put songs on it and all these glitter graphics and it was crazy, all the customization, but we did kind of get sick of that. There was like, people would just go in waves of like what they accept and what's cool and what's not. And when Facebook came around, it was that simplistic, and then iOS 6 or 7 with that flat redesign, that was freaking cool. But now I'm like, now you're seeing like the McDonald's looks like a prison, like the way the new McDonald's are, but like all that flat design and all that stuff paired with like not only AI and all this like advertisement and stuff, like we have been bombarded by just bad. The wealth of information and the quickness of GPS and all this stuff, like I love all this and how we're able to connect all this way in social media, but there is a gigaton of bad that didn't exist. Like we had less things, but in 2000s, like you just had a lot of just fun and a lot of goofiness going on. But now you have brands every second. You see on TikTok just people being just coy with selling a product, and you don't know what is like real anymore. Like there's no, like, authenticity does no longer sell. Like people say that, but authenticity has been weaponized to like sell items. So that's where we're at. So very bad. But can we talk about something good? Do we have any good stuff?
Yeah.
I watched 100, maybe 70. I watched like 70 episodes of Skibbity Toilet with my younger brother. And
did you really?
Yeah, dude, we sat and we watched it for like 2 hours. Like there's a full compilation on YouTube. And like he was like, "This is the coolest thing. You have to see it." And when he first starts playing it, he starts.
You know, meeting him. Can I say real quick?
Yeah.
Can I say real quick? Meeting him was very fun that night. We all went out and got ice cream and stuff. But what was fun for me was, I don't interact with Gen Alpha at all.
Yeah.
So meeting him was like a celebrity, because like I see these things lampooned on TikTok, but like meeting a Gen Alpha kid.
Yeah. He's Gen Alpha, capital A. Yeah.
Yes. And that was just, I had a blast. I was having, I was having a blast that night.
Well, even when we started watching Skibbity Toilet, and I was just, so like, do you even, Jacob, do you know what the Skibbity Toilet is? You were around.
Yeah, I've heard of Skibbity Toilet. Yes.
So like when he first starts playing it, I was expecting some kind of like weird webcomic thing or something. Yeah. So he's like Skibbity Toilet episode 73 or whatever. He plays it, and it's like Half-Life. It's like the city in Half-Life with like camera heads,
100%.
And there's like these like scientists like working on something, and I didn't, for the first time in my life, I didn't know what I was looking at, and I watched it for like 2.5 minutes, and I was just like, "Bud, can we back up? Like, I actually cannot contextualize what I'm seeing." So he's like, "Okay, let's go to the beginning. You're a millennial. I get it." That's what he said to me. I was like, "Okay."
Oh my god!
It's like, okay, sure, let's go to the beginning. And the first episode, it's just his head in a toilet singing like a Nelly Furtado song and spinning around. And so we watched it, and my eyes were glazed over. And then my wife came home, and I was like, "You have to just see like what I'm witnessing right now. This is and then there's all these little twists and turns, and so there's the toilet people, and then there's the camera heads,
people,
and then they get like a big camera head Megatron, and then these like these other people show up with speaker heads, and then the speaker heads show up, and then there's and then there's different people that show up, and then they all have their little move that they do when they defeat the freaking enemies and stuff. And
also, it's like JoJo.
Yeah, it was crazy.
My favorite one, was when they brought the tanks out and then they started playing the Imperial March song.
Yes.
And the toilets came flying through the sky.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I watching? Like, what is this?
I will say, like,
gets
people have
crazy.
pointed out that like we had Newgrounds and very weird animations and stuff. So this isn't crazy. I think it is just funny that like, and maybe they do. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm a millennial. But like, yeah, that's funny because you're like Half-Life. And like to them, that's like, what is Half-Life? You know what I mean? Because there hasn't been a new Half-Life. There's been Half-Life Alyx, but like there hasn't been that impact of Half-Life in over a decade, 2 decades. So it's like,
yeah. And then he's like, no, this is Gmod. I was like, okay, I get it. Like that's kind of like a mod off of that. But then I was like, hey, I've got Gmod. Do you want to play it? And he's like, I just watched this. Like he was like, I don't. It was like, yeah, we're not gonna like find a bridge here. Like I just got to look over what you're doing over there and like wrap my head around it. Like
I think the craziest part is that it's the generation's ability to take a meme and they absolutely bury this thing into the ground.
Yeah, that's a great way of saying it.
Out of it, it arises a phoenix.
Yeah,
because now, like, I think at the end of this thing, because there is still middle schoolers who watch this and talk about it too. It arises now. They're making like actual long episodes, which long to them is 4 minutes.
Yeah, like, the newest ones were longer. The early ones were like 18 seconds, and the new ones are like 4 minutes.
This is where short form content has completely changed the game. Because they take something that someone would watch for an hour. Like if it was us back in like when we were younger, and they put out an hour episode, we probably would have sat down and watched that.
Yeah.
Because we're like, oh, this was funny and this is cool. Now, if you can't sit through a 20-second video, you're over it. Like it's done. You got 20 seconds to get their attention. You have 20 seconds, and that to me, that's just where it's like I completely goes over my head because I'm like, how can I truly give something a benefit of the doubt? Like if I only give it 20 seconds.
I don't. It's an interesting thing to observe. I was loving it. I thought it was really, really the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, just
they stayed true to the meme though, Travis.
Yeah,
they never changed from the
meme.
And
they stack memes on top of memes with it. But you're right. It's like they found a hole and they dig that hole all the way till they come out the other side of the earth. It's like crazy. So yeah, that was Skibbity Toilet was pretty interesting.
It's fun because like I hear like I just love when I was at a birthday party for a family, and there was a teacher there, and she was like, yeah, middle school and teaching middle school, and they keep talking about, and then somebody else like Skibbity, and they're like, yeah, and I just don't even know what they're talking about anymore. It's like Skibbity Riz and all this other stuff, but I think it's very funny because I think it's been kind of memed on TikTok enough to where it's like, embrace it.
Yeah. No,
embrace
Skibbity.
That should be the thumbnail. That should be the thumbnail for this one.
Embrace the Skibbity.
We can bring in Gen Alpha.
Bring in Alpha.
If we make it Skibbity,
put Skibbity in the title. Yeah, put it Skibbity.
I'll put Skibbity in the title.
Put Skibbity.
Yeah.
Oh well, now we got you. If you're watching because of Skibbity, let's talk about Game Pass. You all have Game Pass, right, Alpha Kids?
Yeah, they do.
If you haven't canceled yet, my friends and I, we have been getting on. I haven't been playing games a lot lately. I've been kind of just in, like I said, last podcast has been a lot of pot golfing kind of mood. Which, by the way, congratulations, Zach is back in the Potter's Cup and in the running. Zach, our competition shot a 21 today at Blue Ash. I don't know how you feel about that.
A 21?
They shot a 21 today.
And they did a full 18?
Full 18. They shot a 20, like a plus 21. They went 21 over.
Oh, okay. I was like, they must have got a hole in one.
No. It's not.
I was like, I'm not even in the orbit of.
No, it's not even that kind of scramble. No, they shot plus 21. That's how hard this course. This course is a pro level course.
Yeah.
So we're playing a Saturday at 7 a.m. Which praise the Lord we got those tee times.
I was laughing at one of the text messages somebody said. I don't have everybody's number in there, but it said, "Oh my gosh, it's the butt crack of dawn," and that's exactly my reaction. I was like, I'm gonna have to wake up so early to get. Ready for
I have a routine. I'm probably gonna try to get up at 5 and go to the range.
I'm gonna have to get up at 5.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go to the range at 5.
Yeah, I want to go warm up and like get my swing.
Dude, you're gonna be at the darkness. You're just looking at dark.
That's fine, because it's all about motion. I'm gonna get my swing warmed up, and then I'm gonna drive over to Blue Ash and do my chipping and putting there, and then I'll be ready to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna be looking at the back of my eyelids and waking up at 5. So.
But Zach, we're paired up together this Saturday.
Oh yeah.
Did you see that? Yeah, we're gonna be right. We'll be playing together for our tea time. So that should be exciting.
Yeah. Well, I wish you skibbity riz.
Oh, skibbity riz to you.
Skibbity riz to you.
I'm watching Travis's eyes right now because they're just so big.
You're getting up to go golf at 5 in the morning.
Well,
you have to get up and get ready. It's 7:20 is the tee time. 7:20 is the tee time.
The problem is it's the last time I went in golf for our last competition. We came in second. I went to Pebble Creek, and at that course, they had a driving range at the course, and I went there early and warmed up, and I played so stinking good because I got all my bad juju out at the range.
Okay.
So when I hit the course, I was more confident when I got my shots. I felt good. I was making great contact. And so instead of me trying to go to the course and warming up for the first 3 holes and sucking, I'm just going to get all that out at the range and then go out to the course and kind of just make the magic happen out there. So I can't wait. It's going to be good. It's going to be a good time.
Nice.
But we all wanted early tee times. But between all that, I will say I have started playing a video game here recently in the past couple of weeks. Game Pass has Age of Empires 4 on it. And we've been playing it. Age of Empires 4. We are
Is that where you get to like take down all these famous historians and
that's Civilization.
Oh, okay.
Empires is where you take over a world, like the Roman Empire, the Europes, or the Mongolians.
Okay.
Choose one of those societies, and you build a village, and you go to war with each other, or you fight for territory or something like that. But it's real-time strategy. I love real-time strategy games. I adore them. Age of Empire 4 is everything you would imagine Age of Empires is. You guys haven't played Age of Empires, right?
I know of them. I've never played any of them. I know 2 was like a big deal.
2 is a big deal. We still play 2 to this day. We still do, but we wanted to mix it up and try to play something online a little bit more accessible. So we got Age of Empires 4. We've been playing that. It's a lot of fun. They introduced a lot of because we played 2, and 2 was made back in the 90s. So, playing 4, the quality of life improvements are night and day. You don't have to do so many things to get your village up and running.
2018?
Something like that. It's recent. It's more recent for sure. I couldn't tell you the exact time, but it's better. It's a better quality of life. It's a better game. And not only that, they introduced something called mods. So people are now they have mods in the game, so people can make mods for the game and release them. So they have a mod where you can do the Covenant as your what you call it, your empire, and you have the grunts as the villagers, and you can make different troops that are the elites and the brutes and all that. And I was like, that's really cool. That's a cool little feature. But we've been playing that. I think tonight they're going to be getting on, and we're going to try to do our first 3v3, 3 people versus 3 people. Nice. And it's on Game Pass, so it makes everything. For the first time I can ever tell you this, for the first time ever, I'm utilizing Game Pass.
Wow.
First time ever.
You gave him probably $3,000, but now we're playing
finally
overtime.
On the spectrum of mechanic complexity, where does Age of Empires sit? Is it more simple and more speed focused, you just got to do actions quickly, or is it complicated and you're more taking your time trying to make decisions?
I think it's more speed based, where the simple things kind of are easy, like building a village, collecting food, chopping wood, all those things. On the complex side would be Manor Lords. I don't know if you guys heard of that game or not, but it's a real-time strategy game that came out this past month, and people love it because it's a true village building sim. It's complicated as all get. They don't have any tutorial. There's nothing. You just go in, you build your village. Good luck.
Yeah.
I put 40 minutes in it, and I refunded it because I was like, this is just way too over the top for me. I want the combat with the little bit of the resource gathering and the sim. So if you've never played a real-time strategy game, I think most people can jump in and you can play and be fine. For example, we have a friend playing this isn't his cup of tea, but I was the Mongolians the other night, and so I packed up all my stuff because the Mongolian special abilities, they can pack things up easily, and I moved into his walls because Mongolians don't love walls. And I moved into his walls, and I built my village inside of his village. And I helped him out because he's really slow at building armies, and I just build quick armies. So it was a kind of a dual agreement that, hey, I'll help you out, you help me out. kind of real-time strategy.
Yeah. Okay, that's helpful because the ones I've really liked the most. Now I like Civilization's not really a real time strategy game. That's
It's not
a
turn-based
turn
strategy.
based, and it's a little less combat focused. It's really about building up your society and your science tree and
Correct.
developing scientific inventions and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
the one and I was gonna say Crusader Kings I like, but it's more like Civ.
Yes.
But you can pause or resume time, and it's almost more like a role playing game with like visual novel like decision points and stuff. So I love that game. But the real time strategy games I've liked the most were StarCraft 1. I
Yep.
really liked that game. I played that game
StarCraft's
when I was
great.
younger. And then I really liked Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2. I
That's a good
played
one.
the crap out of that game on the 360.
Yeah.
Dude, when you could summon the Ents and like they
It
would
was-
show up and just destroy. And here's the other, and tell me if Age of Empires is this way. On Battle for Middle-earth 2, when you had a unit, it looked like 10, 20 soldiers. So you could get like 10, 20 of those 20 soldier units
Yeah.
and line them all up, and it looked like a big army. Like it looked
Yes.
huge. And maybe
Yep.
even it looked bigger than that. The thing that always threw me off with like Warcraft and some of these other games is like it's like little 5-man units, and when you have a whole army, it's like 30 guys. I
Yeah, so
always
the
liked
way
it
this
better
game-
when you can see like formations of like tons
The way this
of
game
guys.
works is you have a population cap. So like
Okay.
you can go up to 600 population, 1,000 population. Whatever your population cap is, that's how many troops you can produce plus villagers. So people
Okay.
who are working plus troops. So for example, you could build 20 knights, and you're like, okay, now I want to make it to where these 20 knights all sit 5 feet apart from each other and create this really long line. You can do that in this game. So for example, to give you point blank idea, Brent the other night was playing, and he had a whole troop of archers, and what he did was he put them in a giant line. When I created my knights, I put them in a wedge formation, so a triangle that sat in front of them. And the hope was that as people came in from all the sides, we protect the archers while the archers pick long range people off, and we just continue to push forward, and we just kind of move together as a triangle through this village. That's how we attacked this area. And me and Brent did it in real time. Like, we talked through our strategy, how to maneuver, we should go around the cannons, let's go through this. And in the meantime, Aaron's cooking more troops because as we got wiped out, he sent the second wave in to help kind of clean up and buffer our time. So that's how you
That's
play
cool.
that. That's that
cool.
team element, because you're talking through, okay, we got to remember, if we don't take this chokehold here, we're falling back here. We're in danger. So that's why I love real-time strategy games, because you have to go above and beyond and forward to think about your next few moves. It's like war, but
Yeah.
less war.
That's cool.
Can I say
So,
something surprising?
What?
I actually played an RTS this month. It's not on the list. It was a wild card.
What?
And
You
is
played
it
a
an
real-time
and I
strategy?
wonder if it's an RTS. Advance Wars for the Game Boy.
That's not an RTS.
Oh, that's not
but
an
What is it?
Advance Wars is awesome. That's just a like a
What is that?
tactical RPG. It's just like
Okay.
a tactical RPG.
I played a tactical RPG.
It's a great game.
That's a
though.
great game.
Yeah, I never played that before, and I was like, maybe I should dip my toes into this kind of real time strategy, kind of whatever. Yeah, I know it's not technically it's not a civilization, but no, I'm having fun. I will say, like, the tutorials were kind of wiping me out towards the end. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
I had to go back and do them like 6 or 7 times. I'm still like, there's a lot of levels to it. but
Okay, if
I
you
took
like
it.
that, if you like
Well,
that,
I'm
that's
dipping my
what
toes
Fire.
in.
That's what Fire Emblem is basically.
Okay.
That's the style of game Fire Emblem. Like, go play the Fire Emblem on the GBA. Oh my god, that was my introduction into that kind of game, and I
Yeah.
love that. I love Advance Wars, and then there was a game that came out on the Switch a couple years ago called War Groove, and that is like a spiritual successor to Advance Wars, and it was really good too.
And then they just did they finally that remake came out for
I think it
Advance
did.
Wars on
They
Switch.
They
did
delayed
for the
it.
Switch.
They delayed
Yeah.
it because of the war. They said.
But but for me, I was like, well, I'm like going back through and it's like, what did I miss on the GBA that like I can just play? So what happens is, like, I have to get up in the middle of the night, feed the baby, or we have to get him back to sleep then, or whatever. Me and my wife. So like I'll pull this out and just play that. We're waiting for him to go to sleep, or he's kind of grunting around and whatever. But if I get a free second, I've been playing little battles in that and stuff. So,
Nice.
yeah, there's some of it's kind of
Yeah.
some of it's aggravating, but other parts I get why it's fun. It is fun.
I'm proud of you because you don't play any of those little
Yeah,
people
no.
games where there's just little.
Yeah, they're
people on
little
the
people
screen.
games.
Maybe we can get you on Age of Empires one day.
Yeah, this is my play school. This is my first RTS kind of deal is what I kind of treating as.
Hey,
But
those
yeah,
games are hard. Those games are hard. They're different. They're
They
hard in
are.
a different way. You have to really think through your moves because if you move one space too far, or not far
Yeah.
enough, like the computer will just crush you. You know. So
Correct.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's why I'm using save states a lot. I'm like, okay, that was a stupid decision. Let's go back a little bit. And then other times it's like I'm too far deep and I start over a ton.
See,
Like,
that's me. That this is my souls. I love getting punished for like not approaching an attack well or not like fortifying my defense. I'm just like, that's on me. I didn't think
Yeah.
through all the possibilities.
Yeah. I'm also I did play on the Delta. Delta's been really good because I get to play some of the stuff that I missed, and I played Super Mario World 2, which is the one where Baby Mario is on Yoshi's back.
Oh
Yep,
yeah.
I remember
And
that one.
This was a blind spot for me. I have played all these Mario games. Like I can't even tell you the ones. I don't know which ones I haven't played except for that one. I think I played a little bit of it at like a Walmart kiosk or somewhere along my gaming time legacy. And I was like, what? I'm like Baby Mario and I'm throwing an egg. Like that's a main component to it. You're throwing eggs. You like eat enemies and then you poop them out and you use the eggs to like attack. That's how you attack in this game. And I think I might have played it when I was a teenager and I was like, what? This sucks. Like I was like, I don't care about this. Going back now as an adult, playing it on Delta right now. This is one of the best games on Super Nintendo. And that's why I found I like put in one of the people's favorite games on each system, but this has a incredible soundtrack, which you've probably heard
Yes.
throughout your life, just people using it in videos and stuff. But the soundtrack, they kind of repeat it a lot, but the songs that are there are incredible. The gameplay is fun, and like there's like 6 worlds, and it holds up, and it's really fun. They use like whatever's that Super FX chip and Super Nintendo. The graphics are incredible. It was a very late release. I think it was like 94. It came out 95.
Yes, it was towards the end.
It was very, very late in the Super Nintendo's life cycle, but man, like they're using 3D graphics in it at points. It's really freaking like imaginative and good. So I finally got to play that and beat that. That was really good.
So now that you've played them both, which one do you think's better?
Between that and Advance Wars?
No, Super Mario World and Super Mario World 2.
Oh, I mean, I'm more like the classic. I like Super Mario World because it's just more classic. Like you're just running and platforming.
Yeah.
This is like you're throwing eggs. You're like kind of opening up paths, bouncing the eggs off stuff to make it hit this other stuff. Like it's a kind of a platformer-ish. You know,
It's kind of crazy
weird.
with the Nintendo, and I guess I can understand why, because they jumped their system. But the concept of Super Mario World was they were trying to expand the Mario world. That when they did Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3,
Yeah.
they had pretty much a set cast. But then when they came out with Super Mario World, they're like, well, let's expand this and let's show them that there's so much more here.
Yeah.
And when they did Super Mario World 2, it didn't have to be a linear story. It was just in perspective of Baby Mario with a Yoshi.
Yeah.
And they were like, this is fine because it's in the Mario world. They didn't really do much else outside with that kind of that tagline, Super Mario World.
Yeah. I
and
will say it's the
else.
first when I was playing it, it felt like I would put it in the same wheelhouse of a Majora's Mask or a Super Mario Sunshine of like just a weird Mario game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like or it's just one of those games that Nintendo like I think this was to me the first one, maybe someone can correct me, but like it just didn't seem like a normal thing to do. It's just way off like a normal kind of game.
Well,
very weird, but-
they kind of did that. They do that in spurts, like the original Super Mario Brothers 2 was
Yeah.
some weird like game made for
Yeah.
some Japanese festival, and they reskinned
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
no, 100%.
You know,
yeah.
Link, Adventures of Link, Zelda 2 is like a weird.
I was gonna say, yeah, that one. That one's probably the first. That's in the wheelhouse. That's what was the other one I was thinking of. Like that, Majora's Mask. That one. That, just the
it's-
weird mechanics that are just off the wall, and they're not really like. they're all kind of polarizing too, because like again, like when I first played this as a kid, I was like, I don't want to throw an egg. Like,
yeah, they
couldn't
kind
come with
of
this, but
whenever as a company they come to a direct sequel opportunity, they kind of always
say frick the fans
say,
and do something
you know,
weird.
let's screw it up. Let's kind of
Yeah.
even Tears of the Kingdom in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You know, so and that one seemingly worked out better, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
That's
I
cool.
had, like I said, I ordered from QVC. QVC does not do day one launch of. They will not. You will not get your games on the launch date through QVC. They're probably too busy doing their little infomercials. So I'll get that in June. Probably towards the end of the month, June. I think it's in shipment. I'm like, dude, they must have chosen the slowest shipping. They probably had to pay more to ship it as slow as they have, but it's coming. Free shipping through horseback. Maybe pigeons are taking it. I don't know what QVC is doing, but didn't get to play that. But it does look cool. I've seen a lot of like gameplay footage of the new Thousand Year Door. We talked about this recently, but looks incredible. I will say I might just go ahead and emulate that on the Yuzu. Because I have seen the side by side, like the 60 frames and like this in 30. Because the original on the GameCube was 60 frames. And this is not. This is 30 frames. This remake.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Is this a sequel to Super Mario RPG? These all run together to me.
So
No.
Paper Mario came out in Nintendo 64. It was their response to Square kind of not making games like the Super Mario RPG anymore. They made their own, but in a different style. So they made Paper Mario, and then Super Paper Mario came out. Not Super Paper Mario. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door came out for the GameCube, and then Super Paper Mario came out for the Wii.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a whole series of Paper Mario games that have its own intertwined story.
Oh, okay.
But Super RPG was kind of a predecessor to Paper Mario in a way.
It was, yes.
But no, so yeah, I was seeing comparisons because I was like, oh, I can deal with 30 if it looks really good, which it does. They went in there like every texture, everything is like redone. But I saw it in motion. I was like, let me try to emulate this, see what we got going here. Let's see what we can do here before the Switch 2. I've been waiting for a Switch 2 for the past 2 or 3 years. We needed it, so here we are. We've needed it for a while.
You're throwing in the towel. It is what it is.
I was going to play this mobile, but I don't know what I'm going to do now. But that is all I played this month.
Well, keeping with the Mario theme, and mentioned earlier, I had my younger brother who is part of Gen Alpha stay the night with me, and he loves Super Mario Maker, and I'd never played those. So I picked it up, and we made a level together. It took us like all night. He had a meltdown because we couldn't beat it. Had to take it for the night, go to bed, wake up in the morning, and beat it. We did beat it in the end.
Nice.
It's the Tower of Terror, is what it was called. And I dabbled around. I played some of the levels on there. That is a cool game. It reminds me of Dreams, which it's the same kind of an idea, or like a Little Big Planet. It's cool. I wish, especially because it's a sequel, I don't know what Super Mario Maker 1 included. I wish that they gave you even more palettes. So they give you Super Mario Brothers 1, Mario Brothers 3, Mario World, and New Mario Bros. U or whatever.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's 3D World. I don't know. But there's other games that have unique art styles, aren't there? Like, or are those just the main ones, and that's all that matters?
Realistically, like the jump from 1 to 2 isn't enough. From like people don't talk about Super Mario 2. So 1 and 3 are the standouts. Super Mario World was its own thing because Yoshi's Island technically was like the same graphics, so it didn't really matter. Yeah. And then when you go to the 3D World, of all the 2D Marios, there's only the new Super Mario Brothers.
Okay. Well,
so they're kind of giving you what they got.
So that's kind of that's the main ones. I was just curious because you guys are more Mario aficionados than I am. It just kind of, I like the Mario World palette the best by far out of those options. So we had fun. We made a level with that. The main thing though is that I think that I would love a Super Mario Maker 3D. Like if they did one, because I'm more of a 3D Mario guy, and if they did one and it's like you can use Mario 64 palette, Sunshine palette, Galaxy
awesome.
palette, and I know that's way more extreme and involved. But that would get me excited because that's more the style that I played. Even if they just took the Super Mario 3D or Super Mario, what's the one that's on the Wii U and the Switch? 3D World. Even if they just took that engine and let you just build things in that engine, I would eat that up because I love 3D World. I freaking think that game's amazing, and so that's just one thing that I'll be curious if they ever go that route. Maybe when Nintendo thinks about AI in 20 years and how they'll apply it to their games, maybe we'll get something like that.
Yeah, 20 years they're gonna catch up.
Yeah, but that's not the main thing I've been playing. The main thing I've been playing is Destiny 2. I've gotten back into that game. I've played it probably 50 hours this month. So basically, the final big thing is coming out in a week. So I'm going to be playing that. I'm going to be doing the raid with my raid group. So I got.
Is this the end of Destiny 2? Is this the end of Destiny 2? It seems like
this is the end of their story saga that they've basically been doing since the start of Destiny 1. So this is
like the finale. Is this the finale?
This is like the finale story-wise of the 10-year thing. Because it was 2014 it came out. Yeah. So I
remember laughing about that, saying, "Wow, they got a 10-year plan, and here we are on a podcast talking."
Yeah,
it's over.
Well, and what's cool is there's old concept art from when they released the first one that like they never used certain things, and they're like bringing those things to the game. Like they're like, yeah, this has been our plan. Now, who knows? Like if it's what it was then, but. Yeah. I mean, things have been pretty. I think that when they nailed down what they kind of wanted to do, they've been figuring it out. The main thing that I've realized, and I've even coming back to it, is the game has changed so much from that launch version, Jacob, that you and I don't know who was playing with us. Remember we were playing Destiny 2 when it first came out, doing Nightfalls and stuff. The game is so different. It has so many mechanics. It's a better game than that game was. I liked the vanilla Destiny 2, but Destiny 2 and then Forsaken and Shadowkeep, those 3 years basically, that is Destiny 2, and basically Beyond Light, Witch Queen, Lightfall, and then this that's about to come out, The Final Shape. That basically is Destiny 3. They have basically cratered out everything about Destiny 2 and replaced it, and it's amazing. So we have Destiny 3. That's basically what we're playing. And they are adding even more stuff that just kind of makes my jaw drop. The new, you guys don't pay attention to Destiny at all, and I get that, but my jaw is on the floor with what they're doing. So you guys know that when you play that game, you pick a subclass, like your Solar or your Void or whatever. So what they are doing with this, because they've made those classes so complicated, and they've introduced 2 new darkness subclasses. So there's 5 classes in the game of like different energies. The new class for the new expansion is called Prismatic. And what you can do is you can mix and match any ability from those other classes into one. So you can have a Void Super and a Solar Grenade and an Arc Melee. And,
okay, well, that's cool.
And you can mix them all in, and like your HUD is all those different colors. And now they've got all these like abilities on the guns that like proc abilities on your character and vice versa. And the build crafting stuff is insane. Like it's absolutely like in Magic terms, Jacob, you don't have to run a mono deck anymore. Like you can run a black, green, red deck. Essentially, you can run it. So in watching the gameplay of it, it feels like some Gen Alpha stuff of like the game is way faster than it used to be anyway, but like tying together all these abilities and like grappling hooks and stuff and just doing these crazy combinations. The trailer for The Final Shape was just blowing me away, the stuff you can do. So I'm excited. I'm having a lot of fun. I've been catching up on all the different seasons from this year and playing through the game and playing through the story missions and getting a bunch of the weapons I missed from this year. And it's an awesome game. I do stand by it's a very difficult game to get into. if you wanted to get into it, I would say now, I guess, is the time, because what they're doing is they're setting everybody to the same level when this expansion drops. Everybody's
Just watch
at the
the
same level,
cutscenes.
and they have a
Watch
bunch
the
of
Grimoire
ways.
cards.
They have a bunch of ways to get the guns that you missed in the game, so you can play the content. And yeah, I'm excited. The other thing I'm excited about is, you guys know how that game kind of works, where like the stories always are like, hey, you're on this planet and you go here and you do this mission, and then you go do this little side thing, and then you go here and do this mission. Well, the new expansion, the new location is inside the Traveler. Like, you're going into the Traveler, and when you get in there, it is another world, and the destination you're on is like a long, skinny, winding road. It's their first linear campaign that they've done. Like, it's a linear destination. And so watching clips, it's like, oh, this looks like Halo. Like this is like going to be a journey. Like, it's going
They're
to actually
doing
be
something like this.
Yeah. Well, yeah, which is kind of exciting. So I'm very excited to play this campaign. I'm very excited to play the raid when it comes out. I've been, playing a bunch of the stuff and getting a bunch of weapons crafted so that I'm ready to go when that drops. But yeah, Destiny is in a good place. My biggest problem is still that they had to take out a lot of like story content to like make room for this new stuff. I wish they would just have a different download, which is like vanilla Destiny 2, and you can download that and go play your the old stuff, because for people to get into it now, you basically just have to watch a bunch of YouTube videos and then play the more recent stuff. There's no way to play.
Make another Destiny, or is this this is the end of the 10-year plan? What's the next step?
They've announced after Final Shape, they've announced 3 episodes. They're calling them episodes now. They're not going to do seasons. So like the way seasons have always worked since like the second year of Destiny 2 is, when you get a new season, you get a seasonal activity, which is some kind of a activity you grind and you play through it. It takes 10, 15 minutes. They're always a little different. There's a set of weapons that drop with that season. Then there's 4 to 5 story missions that slowly unlock throughout the season, where you progress whatever kind of side story they're doing. What they're doing with the episodes is, there's not going to be a seasonal activity. And I don't even know that they're going to necessarily release new weapons, but there is a 3-act story that will be kind of like each episode will have like a 3-act story that comes out over the course of 3 or 4 weeks or whatever. And they're going to do an episode, and then they'll let it chill for a little bit, and they're going to do another episode. What I'm thinking is they're going to do a series of these episodes. It'll be like epilogue type stuff, and then I'm predicting they'll do a Destiny 3 in 2025 or 6 or something like that. Or it'll be like Destiny Beyond, and it's going to be some kind of evolution on the idea. I mean, the rumor for a while was they were working on a genuine like MMO, like not a first person shooter. And that world and the lore of that world, like they could go that route. I think the shooting is what makes that game part of what makes it special. So
yeah.
I don't know that they'll go non-first person with a Destiny thing, but I really love the game. It's a lot of fun, and it's been the funniest thing of this podcast, the life of this podcast. None of us playing Destiny. Yeah, too. It is definitely my most played game. I crossed 600 hours on Steam this week.
Wow.
Destiny,
and that's not. I played it on Blizzard before that. Before it came to Steam.
Yeah,
it came to Steam in year 3.
Did the first Destiny come out in 2015?
14.
In 14, so 14 came out, and then this last one came out in 2017. So Destiny 2 came out in 2017. So maybe they'll hit the 10-year plan. Maybe you'll get 3 more years.
No, the 10-year plan was from Destiny 1.
Oh, I thought you meant from Destiny 2.
No, they said when they were releasing Destiny 1 that they had a 10-year plan.
Wow, they really are just out here.
Yeah.
Bungie's such a weird company.
They're very weird.
They really are.
They're very weird.
Hey, you know what also took 10 years? To get a new Mad Max movie. Furiosa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, you didn't come, did you, Jacob?
No.
Wow. Morden Joe would not be happy with you.
That's okay. He can be okay with that.
Me and Travis couple of our buddies, wives, everybody except Jacob came out and saw Furiosa, which is in the Mad Max saga. This has been it'll be 10 years next year. So it's been 9 years since the 2015 Fury Road, which Fury Road is one of my favorite movies of all time. It is in the top list for me. I think that movie is just action-packed. It's simple. You have a simple like drive for these characters. The combat is incredible. It's a 5 out of 5 for me. So coming into this, pretty high expectations. What do you think, Travis?
Well, I saw Fury Road with you and like our wives, girlfriends at the time in 2015 or whatever, and I didn't know anything going in. I'd never seen Mad Max, and it blew the doors off me. I loved it. I thought it was really amazing. I never watched it again, and I didn't really remember a lot other than it was very fast paced and that it was good. So like in the lead up to this movie, I was a little iffy. I didn't think the trailers looked good. I didn't think that the visuals in the trailers, they didn't look how I remember Mad Max. They looked way more kind of colorful, and they looked more like, what's that game we always make fun of, Rage 2? Like it looked goofy to me, and I was worried. I'll be honest, I was worried. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, but everybody's excited. I did like Fury Road a lot, so I went in and I was like, let's see how this is, and I freaking loved it. I got to go back and watch Fury Road. I think I like this better, with a couple caveats. This movie is very different than Fury Road in a lot of ways. It is a more personal kind of a story. It is way more character development oriented and way more like one person's personal journey. It takes place over years. And I felt like where Fury Road was action packed and it was simple and it was great and it was masterful in that, this movie was masterful in building up a world without boring you with telling you about the world. I mean, I feel like I could draw a map of the cities involved in this world and like the supply lines connecting them, because the way this movie is filmed and the way they introduce you to the settlements and the leaders, it feels extremely tangible. And the action scenes that take place in like Bullet Town or these cities that this movie's in, they shoot everything from different angles, and there's people driving, big buses and big rigs around, and like you get a sense of like the layout of these places. And I thought it was really amazing. So I could ramble on about a bunch of different stuff I liked, but the movie was awesome. I loved it. I thought it was pretty amazing. I thought that the blocking of like certain action stuff, Zach is like a filmmaker. I got to imagine you were getting giddy on some of this stuff. Like when in the beginning of the movie, there's somebody sniping guys that are driving on these bikes. Yeah. And in most movies, if somebody got killed when they were driving a bike and then you went up to them, you would just see them like on the ground, like dead, whatever. Like they're going so fast that when they go up, like they flew and then they went headfirst into the sand and their legs are just sticking out of the sand.
Yeah,
and it's like
Looney Tunes with it.
It goes Looney Tunes of like everybody dies and gets crushed, and like you see them like crushed and crumpled down into the ground and whatever, and everything is so it's an overword used, but like visceral, I guess is the word, but it's more like tangible. Like it felt like people were getting crushed and killed and smashed, and I just thought it was awesome, and it's a great revenge story. And anyway, I could gush about it, but Zach, I'm curious to know what you thought.
No, I loved it too. It's definitely, whereas the Fury Road is more simple, and it's from point A to point B, and it tells a story, gets in and gets out. This is more, hey, we're going over here. Now we got to go back over here. It was more to it. It was more, not convoluted is the word, but more layers to it, I guess, than Fury Road. This is also a very colorful movie. And I think even George Miller's talked about that. He's like, when we made Fury Road, like he didn't even want even back then. You have the silver chrome, you have red, you have all these colors, and white. And Morton Joe is this bright white in this, brown, like apocalyptic atmosphere, and he was like, I wanted to make it colorful. You know, you don't see
was
that
the
in
right
apocalyptic
call.
stuff.
It was beautiful on the screen.
And even more with Furiosa, you get to see that even more with all this. Dementus, who's played by
frickin' Chris Hemsworth. He
Chris
crushed
Hemsworth.
it.
He did an amazing job.
Crushed this movie.
He brought the humor, which the first Fury Road had humor, and I thought he was really funny in this. I don't think it was over the top. It was always like there was a part, minor spoiler, but when he's kind of trapped, he held hostage this person with a thing to his head, the spike, and that gets accidentally set off. And in doing so, that thing was somehow tied. Everything is just, that's why I love these movies more than anything, is the lore and the world building all feel very Kojima-esque, and Kojima loves these. It's just all these little extra things you don't see in movies nowadays. But when that thing went off, it ripped his nipples off. Like, it just was all these chains and stuff. So it like created this chain reaction. And he keeps acting normal. And he's like, oh, I didn't mean for that to happen. You know what I mean? Like, just very funny lines from him and stuff. And that surrealism is what I really I'm in love with from these two movies, but definitely in this one. So, no, love that. The action was great. There was a complaint on the CGI, and we recently just went the other day and watched here in my basement the Fury Road again. Chelsea's nephews and stuff came over, and they hadn't seen it since 2015. I've seen it since then, but watching it again, I was reminded again. It was like there's bad CGI in that, or bad. When I say bad, it's like and I kind of am okay with it. There's CGI that can be lent to, like, this is kind of a comic book-esque world at times. Like, it almost could seem like comic book panels. Yeah. And that's kind of like, do you see that in Fury Road? Bad CGI, meaning it's not up to Marvel's standards. It doesn't look hyper-realistic. There's a kind of surrealist. And that's cool when you're, like, peppering that throughout. If it was, like, continual, that would be obnoxious. That would be bad. And I saw the complaints about this, and there was one shot that people kept showing, and I kind of kept that in mind when I was watching it. I was like, there was no problem there. Like,
on the big screen,
it's surrealist. It's supposed to be a hyper level. You have to see past that. You have to see that, On
the big screen, it all translated well. I think on some of the trailers and stuff, that was what was giving me pause. Seeing some of the trailers, I was like, this looks like weird. On the big screen in IMAX, it was amazing. It was amazing. And the color was a welcome. Like, I felt like Mad Max was very muted color palette. This was much more colorful and lush and crazy stuff going on. And I felt like I got to maybe rewatch Fury Road. The framing and the shot design and the blocking of stuff was just masterclass in this.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing at times. And it was a great movie. So do you like this better or Fury Road? I like this better, I think.
I had to think through this, and I stick with Fury Road. But here's my thing. When I went on Letterboxd and I rate my movies, when I've seen them, Fury Road's a 5 out of 5 for me. I think it just gets in and gets out, and it's like it's perfectly crafted. For this, I was thinking there, I was like, I think we go through here, we stay here a little bit too long at times, or we go here too quickly. We don't get to see enough of this at times. It felt like I had to like wrap my head around, like we were doing a lot in this movie. It was like 2.5 hours. And we're doing here and this. Not to say I didn't. I mean, I was entertained the whole time. I want to say that too. I'm not knocking it, but I think I prefer the tightness of Fury Road to this. But I was laughing. I was like, "There's no way I could give this a 4-star." Like, this is such a crafted movie. It took so many years and so much. Like, it's such an incredibly crafted movie. I was like, it's a 4.5. So I give this a 4.5. I just like Fury Road a smidge more for just getting in and getting out and creating those little things. But this was masterful in its action. I would say, like, if people want to say like the action's better in this one, yeah, you're probably right. There's some standout moments in this. They go to a place where there is not a lot of food, a lot of water, and you get to see chaos shown in ways I've never seen in a film. Like, it is absolute, just like you feel the weight of like chaos taking over and just the apocalypse, and like things are bad. So
this one had more thematically going on. From my memory, and the one thing, the really only negative I can think of with this movie for me is it does the one thing I hate when prequels do and it's the Rogue One thing. We really got to make sure you know that this leads into the next one. Like that annoyed me. At the end, I don't know, Jake, if you're gonna watch this. They have there's a place where it would have been fine with Furiosa interacting with these women that are in the next one. I'll just say, interacting with them. That's cool. I get it. You're paying tip of the cap. Hey, this is how this is going to connect forward. She cares about these women.
Yeah.
To show them like getting on the bus to start the getaway to proc the next movie. It's like Rogue One, like, hey, so people know this is before Star Wars. We need to make sure we show Leia at the end, on the ship that Vader's invading. You know what I mean? It was just like, I didn't need that. Like, this movie seems like it takes place sometime before the next Mad Max. Yeah. I think it's enough that we know who Furiosa is now. We know she's got a connection to these ladies. I don't need to see them literally escaping and getting on the bus. Maybe I'm misreading that. I interpreted it as they're going.
It didn't bother me. They did that, though, to show where her character ends up. So they spent the whole movie, and especially the end, they get almost Last of Us Part 2-ish. And, like, what do you do with revenge? What do you do with this? And I think they did it to show, like, well, her answer was what you see. We want to put just the smidge in for people that didn't, because there was people that have never seen Fury Road. We want to at least put that in to show, like, the nugget of, like, oh, like, I have an answer. Like, I want to help people. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to help these women. I'm going to go back, and that's going to be my new purpose. And then they just showed these snapshots during the credits. I didn't really, I think that's what they were doing. Like, there was people that had never seen Fury Road. Here's what she did with that hate. Here's what she did with that revenge. Like, here's what she,
That makes sense. I get that. And I could be won over to that. I guess it's a little different than Rogue One, because in Rogue One, Leia has nothing to do with the rest of the movie. Like, you only know who she is because you've seen the other Star Wars. Yeah. Whereas that movie was about other people, functionally. So that's a good point. Maybe I didn't think about that. I always think about one of the Hobbit movies at the end. Legolas is talking to his dad, and he's like, Legolas, there's a man. His name's Aragorn, and I need you to go find him. It's really important to the future of Middle Earth. And it's like, this is the Hobbit. Yeah. This has nothing to do with Legolas and Aragorn.
It's shoehorning that stuff in.
And so it's not.
Reaction. Like,
it's not.
Star Wars loves to do that.
It's not that bad, but I just like when I see a movie that I feel like is masterclass. Like I like for it to stand on its own. This one does stand on its own. It ties into that other one. It's not bad. I guess it just felt a little like.
Yeah, I can see that.
Felt a little bit like, now you got to go watch this other movie to complete what we did here. And you don't have that with Fury Road. It's just, this is the movie. So, it's just kind of interesting, but it's a minor gripe probably.
There was a movie we both saw. Again, another movie, Civil War.
Oh, yes. I talked about it last time. I would love to hear what you think about Civil War. I raved about it.
I had a great time with it. I think everything that you kind of said last time about it's definitely an anti-war film, which is funny. When this was announced, people were like, "Oh, they just visceral reactions, like just watch the freaking film, like just see what it is." And this was a hyper anti-war film, basically showing like, hey, like, if this was to ever happen, like these, you get to see some pretty brutal stuff. In this film, and I loved the showing that stuff through a new photographer. They have like this kind of this teenage photographer that kind of sees what's her face, Kristen Dunst, is that her name?
Kristen Dunst,
yeah. That's kind of the main character in this, and she sees her as like, that's my, I've seen your pictures before, and you're famous, and she kind of tags along and sneaks in and kind of goes with her to this trip to. The whole movie is like getting to the president during all this. Like, we got to interview the president, but I that ending was really good. That ending was very powerful.
It gave me chills. It gave me chills.
Yeah. It came full circle, and I was like, that is a good ending. That's a locked ending. So, had a great time with it. It was, it had some cool, tense moments.
It reminded me of Last of Us, I think I said a little bit. Just that getting from one point to the other of the US. And sorry, my cat is just like getting all up in here. What did you think of? I wanted to ask you a couple things. What did you think of the sound design in that movie? And just like, I felt like it was very it felt like I was in war. Like, I don't know how to explain
Yeah.
it. Like, the
Yeah.
gunshots in that movie were just they cracked in a way that was
Well,
like,
between that and it goes to the pictures that are being taken by the different photographers, so it actually just shows like the last moments of someone's life.
yeah,
And like I thought it was very powerful. That's what photojournalism is always, I think, the most effective. Some of these pictures that we live with forever, Kent State, it comes to mind. I was thinking of stuff like that. It's like that is imprinted and like that transforms culture. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
You capture these moments, people have to respond to them.
Yeah.
So that was cool to see that in a, or in a cinema way, but then they're like stopping the whole action. I think at times it goes kind of silent and you just see the picture.
Yep.
They
Yep,
take, and then it goes back to the action and stuff, and it's very powerful. I thought that was a really cool way to show the story that way. So yeah, sound design was all that stuff was really good. Yeah, really cool.
I like that ending a lot. I like the implications for the characters, and I like that they didn't really get into the political situation.
Yeah,
I thought it was weird that people wanted people to get it. That was not the goal of this movie, and I thought that was so weird that people wanted that to be what the movie was. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know which side was about what. You get the impression the president's kind of a craphead, but like you don't really know.
You don't know what was actually going on.
Yeah.
Which I think was by design.
Yeah. Also, our guy from Breaking Bad with a great scene. Like I mean, you see it all over the internet.
What kind of American are you?
Man, that scene is just, that is an instant classic. And he was not supposed to be in this movie. There was another guy supposed to play that part, and that is Kirsten Dunst's husband in real life.
Yeah, and Chelsea's telling me that. Yeah,
and they needed somebody to fill in for the spot, and that he threw his hat in the ring, or however that works, and they got him there. And I mean, from like a filmmaking perspective, like you're striking gold. Like, you're lucky that the other person didn't show up, probably, because that guy, he is made to play those just
psychos, weird psycho peoples.
And he's also in Friday Night Lights, where he plays not a psycho. But Jacob is never going to see that, so it doesn't matter.
Never going to watch that.
I watched another movie. Funny enough, I didn't even put the two and two together. Another photography movie, Rear Window from Alfred Hitchcock. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. It's my favorite Alfred Hitchcock film I've seen. I haven't seen all of his stuff, but this movie is about freaking James Stewart plays the main character. He's a war photographer, or he was in the war or whatever, but he gets out, he's still doing photography stuff, breaks his leg. So he's like kind of bound, kind of bed bound, or he's bound on this wheelchair or whatever at home, stuck at home. So what is he doing? He's just kind of like peeking out the window. He's kind of in this apartment complex where he can see these different complexes, and they have like a main square, and he's just watching people. And watching people, and like he has all the time in the world because he just has to wait for his leg to heal up. He starts to notice like what's going on this apartment. Like, I haven't seen the wife in a while. Why is the man like putting a knife in a newspaper and kind of wrapping it? Like, see, he's starting to like piece two and two together, like what's going on, and like people that come visit him think he's crazy, and he's trying to explain the situation. It's very why I love this film is a lot of it is quiet, and it's just showing you what he sees. Sometimes he pulls out his camera so he can go even more zoomed in. He has binoculars, and you're just like watching these people, and it's just silent. You just hear it from a distance, like you're just watching the people go up the stairs or different actions going on, and you can kind of like piece together like, oh, that family's in trouble. These are newlyweds. Oh, now they're having problems. You know what I mean? Like all this stuff's going on. So I adore this movie. So Chelsea never seen it, but I really, really suggest Rear Window. Go from Civil War to Rear Window. It's like a good sequel. It's a good package. It's a good double feature.
I saw that years ago, and I really, really enjoyed it. It's a great like thriller, and it's kind of if I remember correctly, it's got a lot of twists and turns to it. It's got quite a bit that goes on. Jacob, why are you in the darkness?
You look like a PS2 game.
And now, really, why are you confused that you're in the darkness?
I didn't think it was that. It's not that dark in my room.
Can you see your camera?
Yeah, I'm looking right. Hi.
Does it not look dark?
You look like an Aphex Twins music video right now,
I mean,
brother.
I can go. Hold on.
You look like Kylo Ren in his little prayer chamber.
It was like blurry. It was blurry. Oh, there we go. It was blurring you out a little bit. You looked cool though.
I mean, the light wasn't on in my room, but
what changed?
Sitting here on my computer. I was like, when you were like, "Why are you dark?" I was like, I don't know.
That was maybe your screen went off or something. Your screen was lighting.
No, my screen's on because I saw you because you were playing with your cat.
Yeah.
And so, okay, well that was a tangent I wasn't expecting out of nowhere.
I just like
you
just
look
in
crazy.
pure darkness.
Put in the comments, did Jacob look crazy?
Did Jacob look crazy?
Speaking of Star Wars,
yeah,
I went to the theaters and I watched the original Star Wars, not the one you watched, Jacob. The real original.
The real original.
The real
episode 1.
Now, did you see that when that came out in theaters originally as a kid?
I saw it. I saw it when it came out. I don't remember if it was VHS or theaters. I know I saw Attack of the Clones in theaters. So I that is borderline. I mean, 99. I was 5. You know, like I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Like I saw it.
I did. My dad took me. He was a big Star Wars guy. We watched Star Wars growing up, and we went and saw that in the theaters.
Yeah,
pretty,
I remember the
amazing.
lead up to I watched the crap out of Phantom Menace. I know I liked it. I had action figures. It was my favorite movie. I didn't know what a favorite movie was then, but I just can tell you I've probably seen that one more than any other one. Me and my brother watched it on repeat. I can quote any line from it. I love the pod racing scene. I've been through the whole phase of like, oh, I love this. Then you get a little older, like, oh, that movie sucks, and you watch all the red letter media stuff and you think it's bad. And then I've come full circle. I really just love that movie. It's got issues. I'm not saying it doesn't, but we went to the theaters and it was re-releasing and we watched it and I had a great time. The pod racing scene on the big screen has to be witnessed. I don't care if you've seen it before. That scene makes that movie. That and the lightsaber duel at the end.
Yeah,
those things
lightsaber
make that
duel
movie.
at the end is like the best moment in all Star Wars. I think it's
I,
up there with
I think you're right. I think
Vader
you're
and
not
Luke's
wrong.
fight. I think it's right in the top 3 with that.
I think it's top tier, and I think pod racing is one of the best ship action sequences. Probably my favorite, maybe in all of those. It's just incredible. I think that the Phantom Menace is a really fun movie, and maybe it's Stockholm syndrome, but like even like Anakin, the kid, he didn't bother me rewatching it again.
No,
I mean, it's overblown kind of. He's got some goofy lines and stuff, but when he's cold and he's worried about leaving his mom, and he does some effective stuff. Now, like it's fine. It really is. Jar Jar is Jar Jar. I still don't know what he's saying half the time. You just kind of shrug and say whatever. But yeah,
it definitely to me is a very like when you look at all the movies as a whole, it's a mid-level movie. It's not bad. It's not good because it's definitely not like Last Jedi is absolutely abysmal. So I mean, when you look at everything it's all put together, the Phantom Menace is shining above all of it. So I love Phantom Menace.
That's like your opinion, man.
What?
The Last Jedi is abysmal.
Oh, it's the worst one out of all of them.
No, it's not. No.
Oh, yes, it is. It's not even close. It's not even close. Collectively, if you ask the
here's
general
the thing.
public,
do you think episode 2 is the worst of all?
Episode 2 is the second to worst now.
Oh, Last Jedi is worse than that.
Last Jedi, in my opinion, is the worst.
That's where I won't let you go, and I'll put a gun to you. I'll put a virtual gun. Wait, where's my? Do we have a sound effect?
First of all, episode 9 is worse than 8. Second of all, I like 8 borderline better than 7.
We've had this conversation I think before, and we both we did not come to eye to eye on it. So I'm telling you right now, the biggest fault of the newest of the 3 movies was The Last Jedi. If Last Jedi wasn't changed to be directors and it was allowed to continue down the path that it could have been, they would have flowed a lot better.
There was no path. There was no plan.
That was the problem.
What do you mean continue down the path? There was no path. The path ended, and then somebody.
When The Force Awakens came out, which by the way, it is a mid-tier movie. It's not bad. It's not good.
I there's parts I like, but yeah, I mean, especially that third act, it's just kind of
Yeah.
yeah.
It's it's a reskin New Hope, which by the way, I did watch New Hope. I'm gonna
talk about that.
My wife and I we have been going through and watching the Star Wars shows and in chronological order. So she has watched Anakin grow up to now be Darth Vader, and she is now living out the New Hope where Darth Vader is the jerk that he is, and he just killed Ben Kenobi, and now Luke just saved the universe because he blew up the Death Star, and we're hoping to start Empire Strikes Back here soon. But we just finished The New Hope. That was one of the movies we watched, and The New Hope's a good movie. Like the only part that really ticks me off is when the droids are in the desert, because it feels like it's an eternity that they're in the desert and
I love
nothing
that
happens.
stuff.
We
are so different with Star Wars.
It's useless banter. If I have to hear C3PO has the most lines in that movie. Has the most lines in that movie.
Guys, we have to remember what we decided last podcast. We all agree on Lost. Nothing else.
Which is fine. It's crazy to me. But anyways, we're gonna watch The Empire Strikes Back, which is the best Star Wars movie ever created.
Why do you think it's the best?
It has the best twist of all of the movies ever made. It's the one movie where
I'm not arguing it's not great, but like everybody just says it's the best, but nobody really ever breaks down why they think it's the best. So I'm just asking you why you think it's the best.
In my opinion, like now that you look at in the grand scheme of things, when like the first original, people could argue that's fine, but now that there's 9, 10, 11 movies, all of the movies follow the same kind of genre where like you have 1, you have 2, but like the good guy always wins. Where like this movie comes out and you're like, oh, the good guys aren't winning anymore, and like everything's kind of not working towards their favor. Plus, I love like Luke's little, I'm a Jedi now, and he's not really a Jedi, but I'm a Jedi, and he's kind of just trying to take on this world where he's just not ready for it, and it shows he's not ready for it, and now it's really bad. So that's why it's my favorite. I think it's out of all, compared to all the movies, it breaks the formula and it does it really well. And Luke Skywalker is awesome in that movie because Luke goes through a lot in that movie.
George Lucas had a lot of balls making Empire Strikes Back on the heels of Star Wars, because there was only the one movie before it, and it was just a summer blockbuster type movie. And if you go back and read like reviews of Empire Strikes Back and audience reactions, it was a bummer. People were like, "What is this? Why?" Like he pulled a Nintendo. Yeah. He pulled a Nintendo and made a Majora's Mask after Ocarina of Time. And that is what I love about Lucas, is that he made that move. And then with Return of the Jedi, I know people think of it as, oh, he returned, to kind of happier. I mean, half of that movie is like in the desert with Jabba, and it's just very different. And then it quickly pivots back to like Death Star and Ewoks and Endor stuff. But then Menace, Phantom Menace, and like all of his Star Wars movies are so different. So when you talk about a formula, I think the one thing I struggle with is when Lucas was making them, there wasn't, in my opinion, a super clean formula. Like it really wasn't until they started with J.J. Abrams, and he just basically kind of, said, let's do A New Hope again, that like we started to have a sense of a formula. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on that, but I have a hard time with that.
The prequels kind of didn't follow that either. You're not wrong, because I mean, Phantom Menace, Qui-Gon died, which he looked like to be the lead guy, and then it's like, oh, Qui-Gon's dead, and then he came Obi-Wan and Anakin in the Clone Wars, and the Clone Wars was just absolutely abysmal. I can't even tell. Like, I'm sitting here thinking back like all the stuff that happened in Clone Wars, and I'm trying to remember the fact that Count Dooku and them fought in the cave. And he got away. That's the way the movie ended. He got away.
He got away. Well, and Anakin got his arm cut off. Yeah. Because that's what I was gonna say, is because Clones ends very similarly to Empire Strikes Back, but so the reason that you like Empire more than Clones is deeper than the good guys didn't win, because
it is.
That's how and it's I was just curious. I heard somebody say it the best that I've ever heard recently, and it was, George Lucas was influenced by a lot of different things when he made movies. He was influenced by samurai movies and The Hidden Fortress, Seven Samurai. He was influenced by Hero of a Thousand Faces, and there's these books about how myths are told, and he like the pod racing scene is basically a drag racing scene. Like it's about like, and there's an older movie he did where there's people racing cars and stuff, and it looks extremely similar. People bringing out flags and stuff. Like George Lucas is very influenced by himself and like cars and 50s Americana. Like there's a 50s diner in Attack of the Clones. And so basically what someone said was he was very influenced by all these different things. Disney Star Wars is just influenced by Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's not influenced by anything else. They don't draw from anything else when they make these shows and these movies generally. I mean, I guess Andor was really good, but they're just basically pulling from Star Wars to influence Star Wars. It's like an AI eating its own ass. It's just like
I look at Mandalorian, I look at Andor. Those were great. Kenobi was great. Those things I think are separate from what they did with the sequels with those 3 movies they made. The 3 movies they made were not amazing, and I can't wait to rewatch them so I can. Because when looking back on it, I was like, man, the Rise of Skywalker was amazing because I was riding a high of a very energetic, fast-paced movie. But as a piece of media that I'm going to go back and reconsume, I already am thinking, like, this movie isn't going to be as good as it was when I first watched it. And I just know that already. So, yeah, I'm just, like, we're going through it, and I'm getting good perspectives again of all of them because it's been like that. And so we did watch New Hope, and it was, I will say this, like, watching it with her involvement in this movie was cool because we were talking about together like, hey, this happened here and this happened here. Remember this? Remember that? And it was all kind of just flowing together.
I was curious, what was her reaction to like the jump in filmmaking era backwards?
We were talking about CGI
after watching all those movies and all those shows, and then you get to this one. Was it kind of underwhelming for her? Because
we were talking about how bad the CGI was, because like
there was no
Jawa,
CGI.
Jabba the Hutt was.
They fixed it. They changed it.
They fixed it, and so he's CGI'd, and there's a couple other things that like you're like, oh, this doesn't look quite as good. But other than that, it wasn't that bad. It just was funny because she was just like reminded this came out in the 70s. Like, don't forget this came out in the 70s because we just watched one of the best movies Star Wars ever made, which is Rogue One, and we watched that movie and you're like, holy crap, this is great. And you had CGI'd people in the movies, and it wasn't that bad. And then you go into watching the real deal thing, and it's like it's still really good. It was really, really good. So it was positive. I would say it's positive. I think it's going to be really better, but like more disappointing from like a linear storytelling aspect on the next one. And I have no idea how Return of the Jedi is going to go. No idea.
We'll see.
I couldn't tell you what the reaction is.
We'll see tomorrow. Never dies.
On Dragon Ball Z.
I didn't expect that. Yeah, I guess that's probably the last movie to talk about. I continue my Bond-a-thon with my friends and my wife. Watch Tomorrow Never Dies. It's a follow-up to GoldenEye. The bad guy in this one, his name's Elliot Carver. His goal is to start a bunch of wars between Britain and China and other countries, and he runs the newspapers, and he wants to get clicks on his website and have people buy his
familiar?
newspaper. And when I was a kid, I was like, this is stupid. This is dumb. And it is stupid. Like, he's the most over-the-top villain I can think of. He thinks he's Steve Jobs. Like, that's how he kind of acts, and he has all these portraits of him like this and like in a, black turtleneck looking kind of outfit. And it's not a great movie, but it's a very fun movie. I had a good time with it. And the Pierce Brosnan era, the GoldenEye is a great movie, and then there's these kind of goofy, kind of fun action movies that he does after that are not quite as clean as like films, but they're a good time. So that's where we're at. We are very far into our Bond-a-thon.
Yeah, I was about to say, you're in the 90s, aren't you?
Yeah, we got a couple more Pierce Brosnan movies, and then we got the Daniel Craig stuff. So like we are
nice.
We're trucking along. We've slowed down a little bit here the last couple weeks, but I think we're gonna finish this, and then
Bond-a-thon continues. Then
who knows? Maybe we'll be Bond experts. Maybe we'll maybe if you do a documentary, Zach, about Bond, you could interview us.
I hope the next Bond they make it with AI. They just go to ChatGPT and they say, make new Bond movie. And they just copy paste that, and then they just
It possibly will.
Yeah, that could be cool. What do you guys think?
Let us know in the comments, because
I'm sure there are executives somewhere trying to figure out what to do with some franchise and just saying,
hey,
let's just ask ChatGPT.
Golden AI.
Golden AI. I like it. That's cool. A good podcast name if we didn't already say it has to have something with Skibbity in it.
Skibbity Golden AI. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Just do that.
We'll ask ChatGPT to fix it for us. But thank you guys for watching. That was the podcast. Hey, check us out on X. You know what? Can we please give in to Elon and just call it X, please? It's X. We're
honestly, on. Be honest with you, that app has died for me.
We're on X, and we are DweeBros on there. Find out when we're going live. I haven't been going live worth diddly lately because trying to raise a kid and finish a movie. The movie will be done soon.
Soon.
Yes. End of the summer. That sucker is done, but we're actually doing a test screening tomorrow for it. So, getting towards the end of that, and I will be back. I swear I'll be back streaming sometime. You might see my son in the green screen. I might green screen him out. I don't know what we'll do.
Get him out there.
I'm going to be playing Kingdom Hearts. He might crap all over my computer equipment. So
just attach a GoPro to your chest and live stream the Saturday tournament of golf.
Okay.
That'll be a stream for the month.
I'll say I'll playing Tiger's Woods when you're on Twitch. You got to say what you're playing.
Yeah.
Actually, that would probably do numbers. That would probably be successful.
But yeah, check us out on there. We're also on TikTok, DweeBros. Post some clips on there. Hasn't been a clip in a while, Jacob. What happened with that, Jacob?
We went digital, and believe it or not, short form content digitally creating is not easy.
That's true. We've gone digital, but you know what? I'm saying it next month. Pool cast. I'm already calling it. We'll be in the pool for the next podcast. If you want to see us shirtless, wet boys in the when it puts the keywords, it's going to be hot, wet boys. Because right now we're just dry, cool boys, But if you want hot, wet boys, check out the DweeBros Podcast next month. But thank you guys for watching us clothed and fun.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Peace.